All the stories you see in this video or on this channel are based on facts that happened, and we have documents to prove this, but just listen to it as a story. The story I want to tell you happened to one of my paternal relatives, and I'm telling the story from my father's words. In the early 50s, when the people of the village thought and lived simply, there was a man named Hikaru. He was related to my father. The father had to go to remote villages to build houses. He was a resident of Girani. At that time, there was no water and electricity in the villages like now. Hikaru had a room where he worked in the same village. This distance caused him to arrive late to his workplace, and the workers delayed because of this owner. Harsha said to stay here and guard. Hikaru also agreed. When he was alone, he played the flute and sang. The next day when he went to work, he was playing the flute as usual when a girl approached him from a distance. Hikaru was very shy. He was shy and didn't ask the girl anything. The girl told him, "You don't want to talk to me?" When Hikaru doesn't talk, he leaves too. This thing is repeated for 3 days, but he doesn't tell anyone for fear of losing his reputation. And he was fired from his job. On the 4th day, the building was half finished and almost destroyed. Finally, Hikaru liked the girl. He invited her to his room and talked to her. The girl said, "I want to introduce you to my parents. I love you. Marry me if you agree." But he wonders where he will introduce her. The girl says here, but he tells her it's half-made. The girl says it's okay, I don't have anything, but she can't ask where you came from in this desert. The next day, Hikaru takes him to the basement of the same house. He's surprised to see that the basement is like a complete house. Summary of living beings. He introduces, and the girl's parents agree to the marriage. When he goes out, he says goodbye to the girl, but Hikaru is confused. What should I tell my employer now? He goes and tells them to get out of here or he will lose his job. When he goes to the basement, nothing happened and he is relieved. In the evening, when the workers leave, the girl comes again and Hikaru's thoughts are disturbed. The girl tells him, "Now you have to introduce me to your parents," but he's happy. It is possible and he accepts it. He takes a day off the next day. When she wanted to board the minibus, Hikaru offered the girl to ride ahead. But since people didn't see anything, they thought she was crazy. A man sat next to Hikaru in the girl's chair. Hikaru was upset and said, "You're blind," and a fight happens. A girl makes such a noise that she's thrown from the door. People see this scene even though Hikaru doesn't raise his hand. They are afraid of him. I had nothing to do with her. When they reach home, Hikaru introduces the girl to her mother, bites her and thinks that Hikaru is doing this to get her a wife. 2 or 3 days later, Hikaru even separates his room. He slows down and prepares everything. When his parents see this and see Hikaru talking to himself, they think he's crazy. They even went to the doctor in the city, but it was of no use. Hikaru says rightly that a girl fell in love with a genie. They didn't want to separate their son from her. To Hikaru himself, after performing the spell, the crying girl suddenly gets up and says to Hikaru, "I'm one of the Shia demons, but you couldn't hold me. You didn't even understand who I am. It's a pity that I love you very much and nothing will happen to you, and your mother separated us and disappeared." And after that, Hikaru fainted and his legs rose. When he gets better, the grandfather brings him to Berlin to work in Germany's car company. But when they see him unwell and cry for 2 hours after every hour of work, I send him to a sanatorium. where he unfortunately dies after 1 or 2 years at a young age.